Hello everyone. So today I want to talk to you about something that is a part of my life and has followed me ever since I was a child. And that is called social anxiety. Now if you don't know what that is, it's basically, okay, how can I put this? If you're the kind of person who gets nervous when you have to do a speech, you know that feeling you get before when you walk on the stage and you're like, oh my god, everyone's staring at me. What if I mess up? What if I mess up my words, or I faint, or I do something embarrassing? That is what social anxiety is all the time. It varies upon the person. Because for me, personally, I get nervous when I'm around strangers. When I'm with my family and my friends, or basically anybody I feel comfortable with, I'm fine, but for some people they even get it with family members, and fortunately I'm not like that, but there are people who do go through that. Social anxiety started for me when I was about 3 years old. I was in preschool and these kids pushed me out of the way because we were in line for something. I didn't even know what it was. But the point is that messed up my relationship with my peers because it made me very nervous around them. And that followed me all throughout elementary school. I had no friends. I made a friend in 5th grade. I forgot how we became friends. But then in 6th grade, she had a sleepover. And I ruined that because she had new friends in 6th grade. And they came to the sleepover, and as a joke, I said about one of her gifts, because it was a birthday sleepover, I said, oh, is it 5 cents? Like the cost? And now I know that was bad, but back then I didn't really understand it that much. And then the Monday after the sleepover, they broke off their friendship with me, which is really devastating for me because after I finally realized what I said wrong, I was like, I cannot say anything right. You know, I just might as well just keep quiet because who's gonna want to be my friend? But the point is, I lost their friendship. I was devastated for that whole year. And I found new friends, and then they had to move away because we went to different high schools, and I found my best friends, who are still my best friends today, in high school. And that's really the summary of my life so far. But the whole point I'm trying to say is that the interaction with my peers affects me a lot, because when I was in 6th grade, when I lost their friendship, I was so devastated because I just thought to myself, I can't do anything right. And that's really what social anxiety is like, because you know, you're always in this constant fear that you're gonna say something wrong. And I think that has to say a lot about our society, because there's this really ingrained idea of perfection in our society, I think, because everyone is so obsessed with perfect everything, and you know, sometimes it can get so overwhelming. And I think that's a lot of people with social anxiety's problem, because if society was less judgmental, you know, if they weren't so eager for everyone to socialize perfectly, it would be a lot easier for us. I mean, I think it's good that we have greetings and stuff. People say thank you, or they hold doors open, or they say, how are you? Even though depending on how well you know the person, their answer may vary. I mean, if it's the person at the store, you're gonna say, oh, I'm fine. How are you? And then with your friends, you're like, oh my god, I'm so terrible. Guess what happened today? Because you're not gonna tell the grocery store clerk that you had a bad day at work or at school. That's not something you do, because they're not a bartender. Like, what do they care? I mean, they're not trying to be mean, it's just that they have their own stuff to worry about. But anyway, yeah, society and perfection, it's horrible. And the funny thing is, I think, you know, people are so exposed nowadays. Like, there's actors, and there's movies, and there's athletes, people who they seem like they're perfect, but you know, no one is perfect. But you know, for me personally, when I interact with strangers, I can't get this idea in my head, like I have to be perfect, I have to say the right thing. And then on the outside, I'm just like, because you know, I'm just like, I'm not even gonna bother to say that much because I'm just gonna say something stupid. And that's really, a lot of people with social anxiety, that's really how our story goes. We're afraid of messing up. I do not like being embarrassed. I don't like the feeling of embarrassment. I don't like people staring at me. And yet, you know, I don't mind people staring at me as long as I call the attention. But, you know, when it's like, and you're in a classroom and the teacher's like, stand up and introduce the class to yourself. And, you know, at that point, I'm just like, ugh. When I was doing speeches in college, it wasn't that bad because I had the material prepared. But the teacher would have just called us out and said, make an impromptu speech. She never did that, fortunately, but, you know, if she did, that would have been really scary. But yeah, I don't mind talking in front of people, surprisingly, as long as I'm prepared for what I'm going to say. Social anxiety is not, you know, someone who's like, you say something nice about someone and they start blushing or they start smiling. That is not what it is. And it's also not someone who's arrogant. They're probably just nervous about the people around them. Social anxiety is, it's preparation. It's rehearsing what you're going to say when you're in line at the grocery store before you get to the end of the line. It's rehearsing what you're going to say when you meet somebody new. It's rehearsing what you're going to say when you go up to the ticket vendor at like a theme park. It's like, can I have one ticket, please? It's rehearsing that same phrase over and over in your head. So you don't go up to them and you're like, you know, you keep saying it. Hopefully you'll say the words in time. So like I said, it's like being in a play on stage for me. You're rehearsing the words and meeting new people, that's the stage. But you know, everyone is different. Some people obviously have social anxiety. I mean, me, I don't know, I'm probably pretty obvious about it if you meet me, because I'll be like really quiet and not say too much. I mean, once I first meet you. But then there are some people who are completely extroverted, you know, they're loudmouth at parties and everything. And then a few months later, you're like, how do you do it? How do you be so social? And they're like, oh, I have social anxiety. I'm like, what? Yeah, I have social anxiety. When I'm loud around people, that's just me being nervous. It can manifest itself in different ways. And also, like I say, you don't know what's going on inside the person's head, obviously. It can be really annoying, but there's also some good about it. Like I said, let you know who your real friends are. And you have a closer group of friends. And the nice thing about social anxiety, I think, is that people who have it, we tend to gravitate toward other people who have it. Like all my friends, like, I think at least one person has social anxiety. I'm not sure, I never asked her, but they all have most of them have some type of shyness. I mean, they're over it by now, but it's funny how that works, isn't it? We are who our friends are, apparently. It really helps to have friends who are like that, who understand you. I mean, you could also be friends with an extroverted person as long as the person is understanding and not, you know, too selfish. I like to think that I'm somewhat of a kind person and think about others, and even though I don't show it that much, but I have a lot of sympathy and empathy a lot of the time. Not all the time, because, you know, no one's perfect, but basically what I'm trying to say is that would I be the same person that I am today if I didn't have it? I mean, I'm sure I would, but, you know, it's like those kids who get bullied in school. They either learn to become nicer people and more sympathetic, and then there's others who completely lose their mind and they start becoming angry and violent when they get older. My social anxiety has helped me, and it's also made my life more difficult. It's kind of a strange thing. It's like a curse and a blessing at the same time. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about my social anxiety for this week. I'll probably have a new video out at some point this year. Next week, probably. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and my voice is starting to crack up right now, so I guess that means it's time for me to finish this video. Until next time, bye!